Hey guys, it's Jen and
Ellie.
And we're in our series how to use the big camera. And today we're going to talk about
Shutter speed.
Now, in order to understand shutter speed, you have to understand fractions. Do you know about fractions?
Yes.
Okay, then we're good. Okay, so for today's lesson, you want to put your camera in shutter priority. You're going to come over here. And yesterday we talked about how this number here with the F is your aperture. This number over here is going to be your shutter speed. Now it's not actually 800, it's really 1/800th of a second. This is where knowing your fractions is a little helpful. Now you want to be in these higher numbers for stuff that involves a lot of action that you want to freeze. So if you're at a sports game, you would want something like that. Now, if you're just walking around with your camera, you want to make sure that you're at least 1/60th of a second. Now, if you have a heavier lens on, then you may want to bump that up a little higher to say like 1/25th of a second. But say you're at a waterfall and you brought your tripod, you can go below 1/60th of a second. You don't really want to handhold lower than 1/60th of a second because your image will end up being blurry because we just can't hold still that long. So if you put your camera on a tripod and you decide you want to do a really pretty picture of this waterfall and you want to catch that water streaming over the waterfall, but you want the blur from the water, but the rest of the waterfall is in focus, you can go below. So for the sake of this lesson, we're gonna do 1/60th of a second and 1/800th of a second. So what your shutter speed does is it is the length of time that your camera sensor, or if you're using a film camera, the film is exposed to the light. Okay, so for this exercise, Tully has offered to help us. And Shadow obviously wanted to be in the video as well. So say hi, Shadow.
Hi, Shadow.
So for this, you can use kind of whatever you want. You could use your hose. We're using a watering can, your kitchen sink, bathroom sink, basically anything that's going to give you some motion. So we're going to do two different photos. The first photo Ellie's going to do is at 1/800th of a second. So Tully, go ahead and pour some water out of the watering can, and Ellie, go ahead and take your photo. And that photo is going to freeze those water drops. For this second picture, she's going to take it at 1/60th of a second. Go ahead, Tully. Go ahead and pour the water can. Go ahead, Ellie. Perfect. Now, we didn't want to go below 1/60th of a second because we're not using a tripod. So that's the lowest we went. But obviously, if you have a tripod and you want to experiment with slower shutter speeds, you totally can. Good job, everybody. Don't forget to post your photos. We want to see your experiments with shutter speed.